Long before cell phones and apps and video games, there were much simpler toys and pastimes. Things like playing with a box. That's right, no plugs, no screens, no winning or losing, no USB, just a simple cardboard box. All it took was a cardboard box in your imagination and you had hours of play. In fact, it was so important to your parents and grandparents that the humble box in 2005 was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame by the Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. Yup, there's a Toy Hall of Fame and the cardboard box is sitting there. So this week we're going to dive into this box and discover new ways to play with stuff that surrounds us every day. So, get your boxes out, look in the backs of your drawers, and we're going to get ready to get skilly. Now, you may have a yo-yo. You know, a yo-yo. Whoop. Or a top sitting around in the back of your drawer somewhere in the bottom of a box. But there's all sorts of other things that you can manipulate in all sorts of very interesting ways. And today, I'm going to show you some of my favorites. For this video, you're going to want to look for a playground ball or tennis ball, maybe a fancy hat with a brim or a tennis cap, some rope. Lots of different types of ropes will do, but a thin rope or a thick rope. Maybe an old tennis ball and a sock. Ugh. Last week, we learned how to balance the world around us, but we can do some other interesting balances that make us look pretty cool. For instance, you might take a baseball cap and take the brim of the cap and balance it on our nose. And then, after we've balanced it for a little while and we feel like we've been cool long enough, we tilt our head down and have it land on our head. Now, the Maori people of New Zealand are the pioneers of the next toy called poi. Now, poi literally means ball on string. And for this, we're going to make our own version called sock poi that uses one tennis ball and one, yeah, you guessed it, a sock. Now, it's best if you can find a nice long sock for this. So, we take the tennis ball and we push it into the bottom of the sock. Now, if you'd like to make a little handle in it, you can just tie a little knot in the top of the sock so the ball doesn't fall out, and it gives you a nice, easy place to hold it. So, we're going to take our fingers, spread our fingers open, and put it so that we're holding by the knot. Now, poi is the art of spinning something around in a circle. Now, we don't want to try to do this fast, but instead, do it quite slowly. Now, there's lots of variations we can do with just spinning. We can spin it in front of us. We can spin it behind us. We can go in one direction and the other direction. We can even practice turning all sorts of directions, keeping it spinning all the while. Now, I don't know about you, but I have 2 feet. So that'll allow me to use 2 sock poi. So, tie a second knot in a second sock poi, put them in your hands, and see if you can get them going at the same time. The hard part is stopping. Now, lasso spinning and trick roping were popular skills in the early days of America, and it was thought that lasso spinning was brought to the United States by Mexican ranchers. It was a regular feature of the Wild West shows in the late 1800s and early 1900s. In fact, there were movie stars in the early days of movies, people like Will Rogers, that made lasso spinning famous. And in fact, they sold toy versions of lassoing that you could mail away for or find in your local store. But you don't have to drop a check in the mail to learn some of your very own trick roping. For that, all you need is a piece of rope. Now, you can get a thinner piece of rope like this here, or a fatter piece of rope. Now, I'm going to use this one right here. This is about 2.5 feet of rope, and what I've done is I've tied a knot in the bottom of one, and that is just to make one end a little bit heavier. You'll notice on my other one, I did the same thing. I tied a big knot in the one end to make that side a little bit heavier. Now, what we're going to do for a trick is we're going to take this knot and we're going to swing it, and we're going to throw another knot in the rope. Here, I'll do that again. Swing it out, and you put a knot in the rope. Now, it looks like magic. I get it. It looks like magic, but it's not. It's just physics, and I'm going to show you how it's done. So, first thing you want to do is to pay attention to how I hold this. I hold it with my hands facing forward, and I just grab the end so the rope is coming out of the front of my hands. Also, I'm holding the side that does not have the knot. That is the naughty side. This is the regular side. So, what I do is I take this knot and I swing it out and away from me. Now, you can do it in front of you if you want, but I find it's easiest if I hold the rope straight in front of me and swing it out to the side. Hold in front of me, swing it out to the side. That's the first step. The second step is to swing it out, and then when it gets to the end, I'm going to gently pull it back toward me so that the knot floats towards me. Now, did you see how it hit my hand? That's perfect for now. So, we take the knot, we swing it out, we pull it back, and the knot hits my hand. Beautiful. So, swing it out as one. Now notice when I swing it out, I'm not going around in a propeller. I'm just going nice and gentle so that it's parallel to the ground. Second step is I swing it back so it floats towards me. I'm not yanking it back toward me because I certainly don't want to hit myself in the head, and I certainly don't want it flying to the other side of me. This is nice and gentle. The third step, one, second step, two, third step, is to, as it's coming back toward me, I'm going to just push at it with my fingertips. Instead of letting it hit me, I'm going to meet it. I'm going to go toward it, and I'm going to hit the rope about 3 or 4 inches below the knot. What's going to happen is it's coming towards me, I'm going towards it, and it's going to hit, swing down, and fall through and make a knot. Now, the key here is to be gentle on your push. You're not going to get it every time. And in fact, in the beginning, you're not going to get it hardly at all. But if you keep trying and switching things, eventually you're going to get the right swing and the right push so that the knot forms in the rope. Now, look at my arm. Notice how it's fully extended. This is key. See, when I swing it out, I want to push toward the knot and be fully extended at the end of the trick. Wait. See, just like that. Now, it's going to take practice, like I said, so keep playing with how far you swing it out and how hard you pull it back, and keep practicing until you get it once, and then until you can do it 2 times in a row, and then eventually you'll be able to do it just about every time that you try. I'll tell you, when you finally get it, it is magical. And this rope here, it's just a simple rope that I got from my local hardware store. It's the only one, if you go to one of the big hardware stores, it's the only one that's blue and white. So this works great. Now, you've probably seen someone spin a basketball on their finger, and it looks like magic. And in fact, it feels like magic the first time you do it. But it's really not that hard if you're willing to put in the hard work. Now, we learned earlier that spinning things balance a little bit easier than things that aren't spinning. So if I take this ball and I put it on my finger, I can balance it, well, for maybe a couple of seconds, but it falls off eventually. However, if it's spinning, it'll balance a lot better. So, how do we get to do this? Well, we're going to practice this in steps. The first step is to practice throwing it up and giving it a little spin. So, you can do this one of 2 ways. The first way is to use 2 hands, hold it down near the middle or the bottom of the ball, and as you throw it up, just a little bit, give it a little spin by pulling your arms apart. All right? So right now what we're doing is we're just practicing throwing it up, not too high, and giving it spin. Now, we don't have to get it spinning really, really fast, so don't try to spin it really fast and then have it so it's flying all over. Ideally, you want it to just go up maybe 6 or 8 inches and then come straight down. We don't want to have to chase it. So, hold the ball, give it a good spin, and practice that move. Now, if you'd like, you can practice with one hand, which is how I learned this. What you do is you hold the ball in your hand, and then you can either spin it this way or spin it this way, whatever is more comfortable. Again, we're going to give it a little bit of spin and a little toss. All right. So practice that until you can do it comfortably. Now, once we can throw it up about 6 inches without it flying wildly, we're going to try to catch it. We're going to catch it on the tip of our finger. Now, if you have a fingernail, it's going to spin nice and quickly. But if your fingernails are short or you try to catch it on the fleshy part of your finger, it's not going to spin as long because there's going to be a lot of friction. So in that case, just hold your finger out forward a little bit so you can get the tip of your finger. Now, we're going to throw the ball up with whatever method we want to use, not too high, and we're going to practice trying to catch it on our fingertip. We're going to let it fall off, and it's okay. It's okay if it falls off here. We just want to get a feel for trying to catch something on our fingertip. Now, like when you catch an egg, you want to be real gentle and you want to absorb the energy. We're going to do the same thing with the ball. So I'm going to toss it up, and I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to go down with it. Toss it up, catch it, and go down with it. And you're going to start to feel it sort of balance there by itself. And that is our goal. So maybe when you first do it, it just goes for a second and then it comes off. But if you keep working at it and getting a feel for it, at some point it's going to start to stay there. And it might wobble a little bit, but if you keep your eyes on the top of the ball, you're going to sort of just go in the direction of the wobble. And you'll find that you can soon make adjustments to have the ball balance on your finger without falling down. Now, as it slows down, it's going to want to fall off. So how do we give it more spin? Simple. Just brush it lightly with your other hand, brushing along the bottom, and you'll give it some more spin. So I'm going to throw it up and catch it. And then as it starts to slow down, I'm going to give it more spin so that it's spinning fast and it just balances there. And then when it slows down, I can give it more spin. And with practice, you can keep it going on for maybe ever. Now, there is no limit to what you can do if you're willing to put in the time and the effort. And most importantly, if you don't get discouraged when things don't work out right the first time. See, you can do anything if, when you mess up or fail, you have the courage to pick up and try that thing again. In fact, becoming fearless in the face of uncertainty and courageous when things aren't going as you had hoped, well, if you do that, there's nothing that you can't do. So look around you at the world and see what you can invent, new ways to do interesting things and just become even more awesome than you already are. What are you going to work on this week? What new trick are you going to master or invent? Tell us about it with a comment or picture or video. Share it with @USO of NC and @FlowCircus Inc. And tag us, USONC Reset and #FlowCircus. For more events and activities with the USO of NC, see our website usonc.org. More information about Flow Circus can be found at flowcircus.com.